So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got a very special but very different guest on. So he's an international DJ. He tours worldwide in many different cities. He's one of my good friends that I've met on Twitter, and I've also been on his podcast as well. Mr. Jimmy Grant, how you doing, man?
Oliver, I'm doing great, dude. I really appreciate you having me on. I always appreciate your positive energy. Let's up the ante on energy for everybody listening right now, and just spread good vibes, and let's get some momentum going, man. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. Fuck yeah, I love it. I love it. And this is one of the big reasons why I wanted to get you onto the podcast, because I usually speak to a lot of kind of, typical health fitness people, but I think you provide a really cool angle in the sense that you kind of travel a lot, you're into your fitness, you're a busy guy. And I think kind of, your experience will definitely resonate with the audience that I have as well, man. So I think we should start off, man. If I didn't cover it already, give me a brief overview of Jimmy Grant and what he's all about.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm a producer and a DJ. Normally when the world's actually operating and functioning as like a normal society, I'm most weekends traveling and playing shows in a couple different cities. I've really built up this brand the last 4 or 5 years, like learning how to produce, releasing my own remixes, getting bigger, better shows, like pushing myself with my manager, trying to just like, build our brand, get into as many markets as possible. And yeah, man, I've been trying to show more sides of me. Like just started this podcast, The Art of You, trying to show I'm a little bit more than just a DJ who likes to party and have a good time. I really care about fitness and mindset improvement. I love to read and I love talking about all that stuff. So yeah, this is perfect that we're on here and getting a chat.
Yeah, awesome, man. And what I really like about you is you've got that other side to you as well, right? You're a DJ, you like to go out, have fun, how to party, but there's also that kind of mindset, that kind of self-development, health, fitness side to it. And that's quite rare, I think, with potentially a lot of DJs, right? I don't know about you, but have you found many DJs that kind of are into both, or are they just kind of one-sided?
Not too many. A lot of the really successful guys are obviously really fit. Calvin Harris is, in good shape and he takes care of himself, but not many really share too much about like their workout regimens or whatnot on social media. But I find that I think, with my friends or peers that I've seen over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, like seeing people go in different directions with their different creative careers, whether they're a DJ or a music producer or both. I feel like if you don't have some sort of fitness routine, it's so easy to fall into the trap of negativity. Like, hey, I'm not making this like hot record or a new song today. Like I wasn't productive in the studio. If you don't have that thing to fall back on in your routine, like a workout program where you're getting that easy win, I think it kind of can go into a negative spiral if you don't have something like that to kind of fall back on. So it's a priority for me and it always will be. I want to motivate other people in my industry to be that way. And yeah, man, I'm just trying to be as public about it as possible. Hope I don't annoy people on Instagram story or whatnot, but hey man, I'm trying to just show everything about me and just be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, man, I absolutely love that. That's super cool. And I guess the question I had for you is, where did it all start, man? When did, Jimmy start doing mixes? When did music become a big part of your life?
Well, it kind of started. I grew up an athlete, played American football, baseball, ice hockey, basketball. Baseball was my main sport. I went to college. Tried to walk on the baseball team there. I got cut. Had a little mini 2 or 3 week crisis where I was like, "What the hell am I going to do now?" And I discovered dance music like within that same month or two span and got super obsessed with it. Started binge watching, like Cream Fields Festival, Ultra Miami, like all these different things. Like, damn, like this is like a whole nother world that I've never gotten into. And yeah, man, I just, bought a cheap DJ board, taught myself there, how to DJ, started watching tutorials on YouTube, how to produce music. And I went to a military school. So I kept this kind of like as a secret for like 3 or 4 years. And then I started, releasing mixes and remixes on my SoundCloud. And by my senior year, word kind of got out on campus that I was doing this. And like different classmates of mine were like showing up to these huge shows in Baltimore and Washington, DC. And I was like, all right, well, I guess the word's out. And, moved back home to San Diego after graduating. And yeah, it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of kept naturally building, like bigger venues, bigger shows, performing with bigger artists. And then it naturally progressed into getting invited by different nightclubs all across the US and having them fly me in to perform. And yeah, then before COVID, it was like, hitting international tours. And yeah, it's just been like a natural progression, man. I'm just like really thankful how it all turned out. But there was a huge shift where when I got cut from the baseball team, I was like, hey, I've always been an athlete, and I never gave myself permission to really be a creative until I was forced to kind of create this new identity. And yeah, man, it's been a wild last 4 or 5 years, like going from, kind of identifying myself as an athlete to, studying physics while at that college, and then ends up, going into a career as a musician and DJ. It's been wild. I feel like I lived like 3 different lives the last 5 years. But yeah, man, that's kind of like the overall progression of how it's gone.
That's super cool, man. That's so sick. And what was your first event like that you did kind of DJing at a venue?
Um,
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I'll kind of give 2 different comparisons. The first time that I ever performed in any venue, this is pretty funny, and like I like to kind of stab at myself and make fun of myself and kind of like share these like little blunders along the way, so people be like, yeah, this guy like messed up along the way. It's inevitable. Everybody does. Just go for stuff. The first time I ever played in a legitimate club, it was for a Halloween event, and the club was like, hey, are you available to play Halloween? We heard about you playing at this, small college bar, and it went really well. Do you want to come out? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. He's like, hey, can you play on CDJs? And I had never played on CDJs. These are like the industry standard. All the professional DJs use these. It's like $4,000 equipment, like high end stuff. And at the time, like I had never touched them. I was a college student. That wasn't in my budget. And the guy was like, yeah, so can you come perform on CDJ's Halloween in like 2 weeks? And I was like, damn, this is like a huge opportunity. There's gonna be probably 1,000, maybe 1,500 people there, by far the biggest event I would do. And I was just like, you know what, fuck it, man. Like, yeah, I'm in, I'll do it. And I just watched a few YouTube tutorials on how to use CDJs and how to organize a set and organize your tracks. And I just kind of went for it. I showed up before the show, practiced for like 30 minutes before the club opened. And it went really well. Like looking back, like what I know about transitions and, BPM shifts and things like that. Like I was like, wow, looking back, that was probably an awful set, and what the technicality, what the level now. But I was just like, screw it, man, just go for it. Had the opportunity. I honestly wasn't ready, but I just made it happen, man. And yeah, but that's kind of been like the theme of this whole career, is like reaching out and just seeing what's possible. Like, even if you don't think you're ready, or, the resumes of other DJs playing at certain clubs or festivals that you want to play at seem to be bigger, they have a bigger following. You never really know what's going on. Like, just reach out and see what's possible. That's kind of been like the whole theme of this brand and like how we've been able to build it.
Yeah, that's sick, man. So you kind of threw yourself in at the deep end, playing on some decks that you've never tried before. And I guess from that, you've then that must have given you quite a lot of confidence then, right? After you kind of crushed it on that one venue, right?
Yeah, it just built momentum. Like after that, more opportunities came. A lot of different people saw me. Some different college fraternities, wanted me to like come out to their private events and like DJ for them, and just like, yeah, it just kind of compounded from there. And I think if I hadn't taken that one opportunity at that time when I didn't feel like I was ready, it could have definitely stagnated a lot of things and a lot of that progress. So I think it's so important to dive in even when you don't think you're ready. And another example is like my podcast, man. Like I was never going to be ready to just start it. You just have to go do it. And by that fifth episode, 10th episode, 100th episode, like it's gonna, as you would say, it'll bang. And yeah, like you've already got that podcast presence from your last podcast and this one. And I've seen that progression from your first episode of this podcast. And building to now, like it's getting better each time, man. So it's just like anything in life, whether, you know, you're a professional and you're getting better at public speaking and, you know, giving presentations, like that 15th or 20th one's gonna be better than that first time when you're in front of people. Right. So it's kind of like anything.
So true, man. That's so true. And I think that's a good point to touch on. My first ever public speaking gig that I did, I remember I was shaking when I came off. So I remember doing the talk and I was mumbling a lot through it. You know, I was really nervous. I came off and my hand was on the table and my mate goes, "Why is your hand shaking?" And I was just there like shaking, man. And I was like, I didn't know that I was doing it, but I like obviously I had this adrenaline and this like, you know, anxiety in me that I was so nervous. And I
Totally.
remember kind of like my most recent talk that I did, it was so smooth, man. No shaking. I was relaxed. I was making eye contact. I was smiling, man. But you know, you have to go through those times where you feel very nervous. You're not kind of ready for it because you know by doing it, it makes you ready, right? I think that's a really big thing. Like you were
Yeah,
ready.
absolutely.
You were ready to DJ at that venue in front of 1,500 people without knowing how to use the decks because you put yourself there, right? You know, a big thing in life is just get yourself there and just fucking do it. And, you know, I guarantee you're either going to do it or you're going to maybe learn a lesson and you'll get it right the next time. It's one of those things you just got to throw yourself at things in life, man. And I love how you do
Totally.
that. That's so sick.
Yeah, man. You just have to send it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. No, that's awesome. And now, man, you're kind of a worldwide DJ. You travel all around the world. So, where's some of the kind of best venues you've been to, and some of the coolest places?
I'll kind of point to two that come to my mind right away. One is here in the U.S. and during the fall. You know, college football is absolutely huge, and there's big parties and everything through the different colleges. One show that really comes out to mind is this one fraternity at Ole Miss. It's University of Mississippi, huge football school in the SEC conference here in the U.S., and people go crazy for football. This particular party, they have a massive house. Like I don't know how many people were there, 1,500, 2,000 people, but you know there was a huge pit of people right in front of me. They have kind of like a few different floors, and there's just people like all around. And I mean, as far as the college party, Ole Miss, you know, 2 years ago, that was absolutely nuts. Like those kids just went absolutely crazy. As far as like the best venue I think I've played at is probably Warp in Tokyo. Um, just a massive venue, huge production, all the best DJs like in the world when they go through Tokyo, they play there. I'm really thankful that I had the opportunity to.
Sick.
And what blows my mind is like you would think like going to Tokyo, not everybody in Japan speaks English, right? But you play all these songs and they sing along more than people do here in the US. So yeah, it's really cool. Like you know, dance music connects people on so many different ways. And one of the things I've learned from traveling is everybody's way more similar than we are different. Everybody togetherness and like coming together in a moment to party. And yeah, I'm really thankful how DJing's kind of brought me all over.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. And I completely resonate with you there. Music is one of those kind of universal languages, isn't it? Whereas everybody just like if someone's playing a great tune, it doesn't matter what language it's in. It doesn't matter if you don't know the lyrics, if you've got a good beat, you got a good vibe, there's, you know, good venue, good atmosphere, good energy around you, man, you can fucking enjoy that with anybody.
Yeah.
And that's why I love kind of events and shit, man. I can't wait for the world to open back up again. It's gonna be
Oh man, I'm
epic,
chomping at the bit, man.
man.
That's gonna be so fun. It'll feel great, dude. It'll be good.
Yeah, sick, man. And I guess my next question is, you must travel a lot. So what's kind of, you know, when you are kind of going through your usual schedule, what is kind of like a tour schedule like? How many cities will you be in? How many times will you be DJing? What does that look like?
Sure. It kind of ebbs and flows, but you know, in a busy season like the fall or spring, typically we'll do a tour where I'm going to hit 16 or 18 different cities over the course of like 6 or 8 weeks. So that pretty much ends up being, you know, a show every weekend for a month and a half or 2 months straight, every Friday and Saturday, sometimes Thursday. I mean, there have been a few times where, you know, back to school week and stuff is going on in the US and Canada, and I'll have shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And yeah, man, it's kind of like constant, constant traveling when touring actually is going on. And it's pretty wild. Definitely have to have a dialed in system to stay healthy and be able to perform. Can't get too caught up in the partying. I mean, inevitably I like to have a few drinks and be social with the people that I'm kind of making a first impression on, whether it's a university or college students or the club owner, GM, like show gratitude for that opportunity and be a regular person. But yeah, man, it can get pretty tiring, but I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. The busier, the better.
Yeah, for sure. That for sure. That's crazy though, man. Like 4 or 5 shows a week sometimes, man. How do you, yeah, next question is how do you manage kind of your fitness and your sleep and things like that around a busy schedule?
Sure. There's kind of two different approaches. Like for a week like that, where there's so many shows in one week, just try to get any sort of workout in, whether it's cardio, hit, maybe just accessory movements or a shoulder workout, like something where you don't need a ton of weight, right? But on normal touring where I'm doing just 2 or 3 shows a week, where it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I try to be really strategic with my weekly programming, like, stack those compound movement lifts, like before you leave for that trip and then save it for afterwards. Plan ahead. Does your hotel have a gym? What type of equipment do they have? Look into the hotel, like they have pictures of the gyms on there, see what type of equipment they have, plan ahead, write the workout out ahead of time before you get there. For me, I want to reduce that decision fatigue and not be like stressed out the day of a show. I want as much of that schedule dialed in, so I'm not even thinking about what I need to do next. Like, I don't know, eat at the airport if you can, and try and digest on the way to the hotel, and then you can hit the workout right away. And for longer trips, to prevent jet lag, I got this from either Tribe of Mentors or Tools of Titans from Tim Ferriss. Try to hit some sort of cardio within an hour of landing, and you're not going to be jet lagged. I've done that whenever I fly over to Europe or something, and yeah, I'm not jet lagged when I do that. Make sure you're actually packing your gym clothes and maybe travel in your gym clothes so that you don't even have to change when you get there. Yeah, those are a few things that they're simple and easy, but sometimes you get thrown off because you're out of your regular routine when you're traveling, right? So I think as much as you can plan ahead and be kind of strategic ahead of time, like, hey, maybe ask the flight attendant who's been in this terminal like 1,000 times on the flight in, like, hey, are there any, healthy food options in this terminal that we're landing in? And yeah, man, it's just kind of like always thinking ahead when you're traveling.
Yeah, I love that, man. And you've touched on some excellent points there because there are a lot of parallels between kind of the way you approach it and kind of how I want my busy clients or, you guys listen to the podcast to approach it. If you're in a few different cities or, you're in a hotel for a week, do little things like that, plan ahead. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to, not being in your usual environment because you're going to be, taken away by a lot of the stuff that's around you if you don't have a plan. So for instance, if you arrive somewhere and you haven't looked at the gyms, you haven't looked at food, you're just going to pick whatever food's there, right? You're just going to do whatever you want to do when you get to the hotel because you haven't set any non-negotiables and you haven't written out kind of a structure for yourself. So I definitely recommend that. And I love the idea of, just asking people at the airport where you arrive. If you're in a new city, ask the guy, like, where is, the best healthy food place at the airport? Where can I work out? What's the good gyms in the city? Just
100%.
opening something up like that can be so useful, man, which I think is super cool. So you said there as well around when you fly, you kind of go and do some cardio after. That's actually a fantastic thing for traveling because that's also going to reduce any kind of inflammation in your joints. If you're kind of retaining any water and stuff like that from maybe not going to the toilet or just people just fly and they just don't like the fact that like they're in the air, it can just make you feel all clammy, right?
For her, yeah, for sure.
So I love hitting either a high intensity lift or some cardio after is fantastic. And for you guys traveling, listen to the podcast, 100% recommend that. That's really good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, amazing, dude. Sick. And you touched on it a little bit there around kind of a plan, but how do you kind of manage sleep? Because obviously your shows must be running pretty late and things like that. So how do you approach that side of things?
Thankfully, I can fall asleep on command on flights, so I'm extremely thankful for that. Definitely, if I'm traveling from show to show, different cities the same weekend, I try and just wake up after a show and hit a workout before that flight. because then I can just fall asleep on the flight, maybe get another nap before that show. Honestly, it's kind of a crapshoot, man. Like sometimes, the show ends at 2 a.m. and the flight is at 6 or 7 a.m. I'm still I'm still kind of figuring out the sleep part, but yeah, it's so important to dial in your energy, right? Because like a lot of people in your audience, they're traveling probably for something like a big opportunity. Maybe they have a presentation that they're delivering to their boss, or a proposal to a possible like new clients, or they're trying to get a new deal, right? So whatever you can do to maximize your energy to like get that workout in ahead of time, it's massive, right? Because you're making a first impression. Like from my perspective, when I'm going on stage, I want everyone in that club to feel like, dude, this is like the most vibrant, high energy, charismatic performer I've ever seen. And same thing, like if you're traveling for something important, you want to be on your A game, right? Like be high energy, feel vibrant, like just bring that those good vibes. So I'll be honest, like I think it's so important to just cut out the airport booze. Like you're gonna feel sluggish when you land, and it's your duty to your team, your business partner, like to execute on the plan. And yeah, dude, that's kind of
Yeah, that's
overall approach.
some great advice there. I think, especially from a presentation point of view as well. If you're going to go land a big deal over in another city, you can either have one or two options. You can turn up hungover, feeling, a little bit tired from, drinking, not hit a workout, turn up a little bit sluggish. The second option is you can, get off that flight feeling fresh, you know what to eat, bang, you hit a workout. And it's not about kind of the progress that you make in that workout. What it's about is getting yourself into that state where you're like, fuck, man, I feel good about myself, right? You walk into that
Totally.
meeting, chest out, smiling. People look at you and like, fuck, this guy means business. And I think, for guys listening, that's so big, right? It's so big. It's just like, it's giving you that extra edge, right? That's that extra edge that you want to get that deal over the line, or get someone to really like you and build that relationship. It's so, so important.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, after the flight, you're probably low energy, you're feeling sluggish. Like it's so important to like maximize this opportunity. Like it's a one-time chance. You're making a first impression. If it doesn't go well, like you don't know, like you want to actually execute, man. So
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. And I guess you do a lot of traveling on tour. So mainly who goes with you on tour? Are you mainly on your own? Do you have a manager? How does that all work?
uh, normally I normally my manager Dave does travel. Sometimes international will only bring a content creator, videographer, photographer to get content and create the tour recaps and stuff. But I would say half the time it's a 3-man crew, and half the time it's just a videographer and myself. But yeah, it's a lot of fun getting to bring my manager Dave when I can, just because like we've grinded so hard. I mean, there was a 2 year period, man, where like we had our full-time jobs and we're just grinding, trying to email different people, get opportunities, and we were literally operating off of coffee and like bangs and whatnot. So like now that things have really come together, it's really nice to be able to bring them along and like build these experiences and these memories together, man. I think it's so important to have a great team around you.
Yeah, 100%. And you said there that you worked a full-time job. So talk me through that, man, and that period of 2 years where you were grinding, man. What were you working as before?
Yeah, so I was actually I was an officer in the Navy, and I went to the Naval Academy, graduated from there, moved to San Diego, and I was working as an electrical engineering officer on a ship. And I was like a 24-year old kid, and everyone that worked for me was generally smarter in electrical engineering than me. They were older than me, and yet I was in charge of like managing them and like putting them in the best position to succeed. So working really long hours there, like get in 6 a.m, long work day, sometimes getting ready for like some sort of an inspection, be there till 5-6 p.m, some days maybe 8 p.m. And I would get off the ship from working, head down to downtown San Diego, meet up with Dave, and we'd grind at a coffee shop or hookah bar and like get a coffee or energy drink and be like, okay, what's the plan for tomorrow? Who do we need to hit up? Like, what content do we need to get out? We kind of plan out like, when do you want to release this music? How do we tier this and plan it out to where the music's coming out at the same time that we're touring, so that the new people that come across the brand, funnel into the music, and then wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning and, do it again. It was just a grind, man. It was wild. It's insane. And like, I haven't shared that much about, my previous work publicly at all. So like, this is like really the second time I've ever shared any of this anywhere. So
Oh man, I'm glad you did. That's so cool. So
yeah.
for me, I think that's so like it's just the polar opposite of going from like the Navy, which seems like, very strict, very regimented, being on the
Oh yeah.
boat, following that kind of the orders of the captain and things like that, and then getting off the boat and then planning like a very creative, fun, kind of like carefree sort of, DJing, man. That's so fucking cool. Like the polarity there is just crazy.
Yeah, I'm thankful for it. Like whether it's like the military and the Navy, and then the club industry and entertainment industry, like it's such a dichotomy of different people, personalities, political views. I'm really thankful I've gotten to be immersed in both of those communities. It's cool to just get into different cultures, different people. You learn a lot about yourself in the process, but yeah, like that time, like looking back, like I don't know how the hell we actually did it. Like some nights, 2 3 hours of sleep, play shows on the weekends, come back and like go to work and grind with these guys and this engineering plant on the ship, and like shit would break down and we'd have to stay late and I'd be there with them. We'd have to fix stuff to be able to like go out to sea, and it was gnarly, man. It's so hard to describe. And yeah, dude, I really felt like I was living two whole world, like two different lives at the same time while I was going on.
Yeah, I bet, man. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
regarding kind of your friends in the Navy and kind of the guys you work with, what was kind of their view on you like DJing? Like, yeah, did they know about it? What was that like?
There was honestly, I mean, there was a select few that knew about what I was doing, but I kind of wanted to just keep it to myself. And that was something where like over time it just naturally word got out on the ship, or just like throughout like the community, because I would be performing these big shows, and like guys that just like serve or like are in the Navy or like in other ships would like see my Instagram page, or they would like go to a show in San Diego, or a friend would be like, yo, this guy's like music is sick, and be like, yo, I know this guy, like he does this too. And no, it was weird. Like I always felt like people would judge me or like hate on it, but the more and more I realized is that everyone thought it was really cool, and like no one actually hated on it. And over time I just became more okay with like showing that to everybody. But it's kind of crazy how, like, I think, when you first started your brand, you probably were like, hey, I don't know if I really want to tell everybody at first. Like, I'm kind of just getting things going. I don't want to be judged. And I think everybody, if they're kind of like building a new brand, a new company, at first you're kind of worried about what people think. But over time, like as you build that momentum, it just kind of, that fear of what people think just goes away. And that kind of just naturally happened over like a 2 year period. But yeah, I really tried to keep it a secret as long as I could.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. And I think you're right. Going from like 0 to 10 is a lot harder than going from like 10 to 100, if that makes sense. So, the starting out is always most difficult, right? Getting your first gigs, getting your first, DJ venues, or earning the first amount of money for your business, or making, the first steps and everything. It's difficult. It's hard because you're not used to it. But again, life is a game of momentum. And, you can apply this to DJing, you can apply this to fitness, you can apply this to your career. Once you start building these building blocks and you just start moving, you get into this flow. And I feel that, yeah, once you're in that flow, it's a lot of positive energy helping you move forward. 100%.
Yeah, totally. It's all momentum, dude. Like each little win just gives you a little bit of more confidence, and you just keep it rolling. Exactly. It's like a locomotive. Like those first roll, like the first few rolls of you got to get the pistons going. And once that energy is actually moving, that locomotive just becomes absolutely unstoppable, and it's like a just driving force. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So cool. And then regarding your biggest venue, so like, what is like the biggest amount of people that you've played it in front of?
I think two come to mind right away. One is super early on is this party in Baltimore called Rally in the Alley. Um, basically you pay $30 for all you can drink for like a 5 hour party, man, and it's all college kids.
Sick.
And it was like I think 4,500 people, outdoor, like literally it's in an alley in Baltimore. um just completely nuts. And then Echo Stage in Washington DC, that's a 4,500 person indoor venue. um like for example, when Tiesto comes to Washington DC, he plays there. I didn't headline. I opened and closed for Benny Benassi. If you, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's
Yeah, he's
an
big.
Italian
Yeah.
DJ. He produced Satisfaction. He's been around forever, like always in the DJ Mag Top 100. And I think the biggest venue that I've actually headlined at was Warp in Tokyo. Um, yeah, I think that's the biggest venue I've headlined at is Warp in Tokyo. And yeah, but what's crazy about DJ show, like these live venues and stuff, I love the big venues, but there's something about a rowdy small club where you feel like you're right there with everybody. You can look everyone in the eye and
Yeah.
feed off of everybody's energy. Like I like shows where, for example, I played in Minneapolis at this club called Exchange. It's in a basement, a bunch of VIP tables everywhere, and just like a pit. And like people, there are VIP tables on each side of the DJ booth, and guys and girls are partying. They've got their bottles and everything. And like, if they wanted to grab my arm, like they could have, they were that close. Like, I like that type of party. It feels like a house party, and we're all just kind of hanging out. The energy picks up throughout the night. And yeah, man, I mean, I love the big venues, but there's something about these like small, intimate venues where everybody's there together and it's more of like a hangout. I love that too. So
Yeah, that's sick, man. And I agree with you on that last point. I've been to some parties and seen some gigs where you're like right in close, man, and like they're just like it's like there's too many people for the small space that you're in, but everyone's close together. It's just a bit fucking crazy. Like I think that's cool, man.
it's just like, the confetti's going, CO2 cannons blasting everywhere. People are drinking, having a good time. It's just that vibrant energy and that effervescence that everybody just, you can't really get it anywhere else. It's like you can get it at sporting events, you can get it at concerts, and I don't know anywhere else where you get that type of energy. It's special. I'm really thankful that I can be like the conductor of this like party. So it's a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
the vibe master, man.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Love
dude.
it, man. That's sick. And then, when you finish your shows, I guess you get a lot of people come up to you. And do you ever have to do a lot of after parties, or do you go and DJ in apartments and stuff like that?
Um, well, I mean, there's so many different stories I could say. Realistically, I'll say this: this is the number one battle I face. I come to a new city, and everybody has this goal of showing off or flexing, like where they live is like we party the hardest. So people want me to go after party, whether it's the people that booked me for like from the club or just random people, and it's kind of like this battle of like, okay, I need to keep my shit together so I can make my flight the next morning. I don't want to be hungover, but I also want to like take advantage of this opportunity and show people like, yeah, I'm a regular guy. I like to party and have fun too. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely learned a lot of lessons along the way. Like, I think it's just important to know people that are going to be there, have someone with you that you actually know, and like, but nothing super crazy has ever happened. But I feel like it's good to have a plan for like when that night needs to end. Like, hey, like at a hard stop 1 hour, like I need to go and actually get ready for the flight or something. But yeah, dude, it's something that I'm still learning. And I think moving forward, the plan might be, hey, I can't after party with you right now, but if you guys want to get breakfast or work out in the morning, we could do that.
Yeah.
I think moving forward, I need to do more of that to just for the durability of the career. Otherwise, it'll just compound and kind of wear on you. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I mean, there's been a lot of good times, but I think I want to show up to the next show and bring the energy. So
Yeah, of course, man. And like you said, it's a slippery slope, right? Like you say yes one time you have a great time, but then the next day you kind of wake up and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have really done that last night. And then you got your next show the next day and you're feeling tired. And it's like, again, it's that same cycle that kind of busy people that work late have, right? Where they kind of stay up super late and then they feel rubbish the next day. You're banging coffees, you miss your workout, you don't
Yeah.
train. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some nights where it's worth it, man. Like when I flew back from Dubai, we went to see this DJ play on some decks of like a penthouse overlooking Dubai. So we had a flight the next morning. So me and my friend were like, let's just go straight through. So we just partied until I think 6 or 7 a.m. straight to the hotel, pack your bag drunk, and then go from the hotel, falling asleep in a taxi to the airport.
Yeah,
Get there.
I can relate. I can definitely relate to that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's got to be done sometimes.
No, yeah. Sometimes you just need it. Like there's a moment where you're like, hey, where you're with a combination of people. Like when's the next time you're all going to be together in this particular location? You want to take advantage of that, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to rub people the wrong way and be like, hey man, I'm too busy for you either. So yeah, I think it's important to just like hop on those opportunities sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just about having that balance, I think, that's so important with it, for sure.
Yep. Mix in water throughout the night.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, that's super cool. So now, like with obviously the world hopefully opening up over the next 6 months, man, what's kind of Jimmy Grant and Rose Drive's plan, man? Where you headed?
Well, it's interesting. I think that realistically I could perform in Asia before the US. I think we're kind of lagging a little bit on, things opening up here versus other countries. And I've seen festivals happening already in Taiwan and Thailand. And those are definitely countries that we have some things in the works for. And I could see some shows happening there. But yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I don't know, man. I'm hoping shows happen by April or May, and hopefully this summer when things warm back up and the vaccine gets rolling and gets out to more people. But who knows? But the good news is that last year's spring tour and fall tour that got canceled, all of those shows have to be rescheduled. It's like, in the contract and whatnot. So when things open up, we have all these shows just kind of like on standby that have to happen. So it's going to be kind of a full send for like, I think the first 3 or 4 months when things open back up. It's just going to be full force touring. And I'm probably going to start releasing music right before the touring starts happening again, or right at the same time. I just kind of want it to all flow and kind of build momentum at the same time. But yeah, doing the podcast, dude, bringing on some different guests like yourself, and trying to like find weaknesses and see where I can get better. Like in previous times, a podcast would be like a huge fear of mine. Like I would be like too insecure to get on. Like a buddy of mine, Chase Maher, had me on his podcast a year and a half ago, and I was like trying to make any excuse to not go on because I was just like, dude, like I don't know what the heck to say. And there was a moment where I played a show in Ottawa, Canada, right before. Do you know DJ Polarity from Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
I opened for him in Ottawa at this like huge concert venue at Algonquin College there. And like 10 minutes before I go on, someone from the student union is like, hey, can you do a quick interview? And I was super nervous, like about to go on in front of this crowd. And I go and do the interview, Oliver, and I was like completely stumbling all over my words. I mean, anyone that watched that interview, like that's pure comedy. Like I wasn't like putting together any like real full thought and wasn't really providing great answers to the questions. And I was like, okay, look, that was so bad. I'm going to do a podcast to where when these, when these situations happen, I want to be on point and actually be able to, speak well under pressure. And I was like, yeah, do the podcast. It's like the perfect way to turn that weakness into a strength over time. So, yeah, dude, like I appreciate you bringing me on here. It's just another rep towards building this skill and getting better each time.
Yeah, 100%, man. And, you're putting yourself out there, man. Again, like you said, it's one of those things going back to that starting point where you just got to do it. Like the first time you put yourself out there, you're going to feel nervous, but the more that you do it, you're going to feel better, man. And like coming on today, man, you're an absolute natural, bro. So imagine, another 5, 10, 20, 30 podcasts down the line. It's just going to be light work, man, light work.
Exactly. Like, I mean, dude, like, the first show I ever did in front of a big crowd, I was like shitting my pants. I was like, this dude, I'm like shaking and whatnot, like you, like before your first presentation. But now I go out and it's just not nervous at all. Like, this is what I live for, and you just execute it. Same thing with this. And hopefully somebody listening right now, like if they want to start a podcast or go after something new, like just go for it. Like, you're never just going to be like ready. there's no like person going to come be like, hey, you, like, you were ready now, like go. Like, you you just have to go for it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. No, I 100% agree, man. 100% agree. No, that's awesome, dude. So, sort of last few questions, man. I mean,
Yeah,
who's kind of your kind of DJ inspiration for when you started out?
sure. The first DJ that really caught my attention was Hardwell, and the reason why is his live set mashups are unbelievable. Um, his presence and his stage presence, his energy, the way that he kind of just commands a crowd, like it's unbelievable. I love his sets. Over time, it's kind of changed to like I really like the Chainsmokers. They're really diverse in their sets. They'll play house, they'll play progressive house, they'll play trap, and that's kind of how I am with my sets. Like, I don't really just go out there and play big room house or just progressive. Like, I play every genre of dance music where each drop, like, I'm trying to surprise you with something new. Like, I don't want it to be boring and just the same type of drops over and over. So I really like the way the Chainsmokers organize their sets. So Hardwell, the Chainsmokers, but grew up a huge Blink-182 fan, and I tried to bring that kind of punk rock vibe in some of my sets too. So those are like my three main inspirations, I'd say.
So sick. And have you got any goals to play with like Hardwell or play with any DJs in the future that you'd love to collab with?
Ooh, I would say a dream collab. I was just thinking about this. I mean, I would love to. I mean, this is like a complete dream collab, but I love Chris Martin from Coldplay. I mean, that would be unbelievable. But
Oh, sick.
I've got a long ways to go to build a career where it'd be worth his time. But yeah, dude. Like, as far as DJs are performing with them, like, I typically we try and stray away from shows where I would be like the opening set or anything, because we like to bring on my full energy and everything. So in an opening set, like if I was to open for Hardwell or the Chainsmokers, you would want like a toned down version, like a level 7 or 8 energy versus your, you know, level 10 balls to the wall, everybody jump
Sure.
around going crazy set. So I actually haven't really thought about that in terms of like performing for shows and who I'd want to perform with, but it's a really good question.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's super sick. And then regarding your fitness, then have you got any kind of health fitness goals over the next year that you're focusing on?
Yeah, man. I have goals, but they're kind of more like habit based goals where I'm like, okay, week by week, I just want to win this week, hit 5 lifts every week, make sure they actually happen. Um, yeah, like in the past, I'd be like, hey, I just want to put on 10 pounds of muscle and like write that goal and, you know, hope it happens by eating healthy and getting the workouts in. And then 3-4 months later, I'm not actually instilling those habits that are required. So I'm kind of backtracking and trying to reverse engineer where I'm like, okay, just focus on what I need to do every day to get to that physique I want. But yeah, like I would say I definitely want to get to the point. I love to run too. I want to get to the point where I can run long distances, 20, 30, 40 miles, like it's nothing. And kind of just like a normal workout, man. Yeah. I just want to get to a point to where I'm like a savage like you. So
Sick, man. Yeah, so kind of just fit everywhere, man, and shit like that. That's pretty cool.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing, dude. Well, it's been great to have you on, man. I've really enjoyed that. That's been super cool. Before we round off, do you want to just plug where people can find you, check you out, your music, and everything like that?
Absolutely. Rose Drive, ROSEDR2ISVE, on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube. Yeah, man, I'm on all those places. My podcast is the Art of You podcast. And yeah, dude, I really appreciate you having me on. You're a natural at this, and would love to, you know, collaborate with you in different content in different ways, bring our audiences together. And hopefully we can link up in London here later this year or something.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Well keen. We'll definitely keep in contact, and yeah, hopefully when the world opens up, we'll yeah, I'll definitely go to see one of your shows. We'll go to the gym. We'll go for a lift. We'll get some content done.
Absolutely.
It'd be good shit, bro.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, give me a heads up the next time you plan out a Dubai trip, or if you're going to Bali, I'll try and just. Once we can actually travel, I'd love to meet you out there or something.
Yeah, 100%, man, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Well, a big thank you for listening to the podcast, guys. Please give it a 5-star rating if you did enjoy it. And Jimmy, thank you again for coming on.
my pleasure. This is awesome. Thanks, dude.